I couldn't move. My body felt heavy and weak, like I had fallen through the floor. I was awake, but I couldn't do anything. It was like my mind was working, but the rest of me was shutting down. My son, Eric, was lying next to me. He wasn't moving either. I could barely see his face because my vision was blurry, but I could tell he was still breathing. Then I heard a voice. It was my husband, Tyler. He was standing just a few steps away, and he whispered something that made my whole body feel even colder. "It's done. They'll both be gone soon." Gone. He didn't know I could hear him. I wasn't supposed to be awake. I wasn't supposed to hear those words. As he walked away, I heard his footsteps going down the hall. I wanted to jump up and scream, but I couldn't. My body wouldn't let me. Instead, I turned my head a little and whispered into Eric's ear, "Don't move yet." I don't know how I stayed so calm in that moment. Maybe it was because of my years working as a nurse. Or maybe it was just because I'm a mom trying to protect her child. Something inside me said, "Don't panic. Stay still. Something is very wrong." Let me take you back to earlier that day. The last time things felt close to normal, if you could even call our life normal anymore. My name is Laura. I'm 40 years old. I'm a mom, and until not long ago, I was also a wife. I used to be a nurse, but I left my job after Eric was born so I could take care of him full-time. He's my whole world. He's smart, curious, and always watching me closely. From the day he was born, we've been a team. Tyler and I had been married for 13 years. In the beginning, he was funny and kind. People liked him right away. He had a way of making everyone feel special, even strangers. But something changed over time. The smiles faded. He stopped talking so much. Then came the nights he didn't come home, the secret phone calls, and excuses that didn't make sense. Even then, I stayed. I stayed because of Eric. I stayed because I wanted to believe the man I married was still in there somewhere. So when Tyler said he wanted to cook dinner for us, which was very rare, I thought maybe things were getting better. I let myself hope just a little. But I had no idea that dinner would be the beginning of something terrifying. Something that would change everything. I thought maybe, just maybe, Tyler was trying again, trying to be part of our lives, trying to connect with us. He told me he had a special recipe he wanted to make for dinner. Steak, mashed potatoes, green beans. Nothing fancy, but it sounded like comfort food. Eric was excited. He always got happy when Tyler made an effort, even if it was something small. We all sat at the table. The food smelled okay, not bad, but a little strange. I didn't say anything, though. Tyler was smiling more than usual. He looked too happy, almost like he was trying too hard. I took a few bites. Eric did too. That's when I started to feel it. A light, dizzy feeling came over me. The room started spinning just a little. My mouth went dry. My stomach felt sick. I looked over at Eric. He was rubbing his eyes, blinking slowly. Then he whispered, "Mom, my tummy hurts." That's when I knew something was really wrong. I didn't think it was food poisoning. It felt like something else. Something much worse. Then everything started to go dark. I couldn't see clearly anymore. But my thoughts were still there. My instincts kicked in. I fell to the floor next to Eric and did the only thing I could think of. I pretended. I stayed completely still, like I had passed out. I listened carefully. Then I heard Tyler's voice again. He said, "It's done. They'll both be gone soon." Gone. Those words, I will never forget them. They will stay in my mind forever. What happened after that? I couldn't have guessed. If you had asked me a year ago what my life was like, I would have told you it was boring, but in a good way. We lived in a quiet neighborhood just outside of Savannah. The kind of place where neighbors wave when they see you, and the mailman knows your dog's name. Our house wasn't fancy, but it felt warm and safe. At least, I thought it was. I spent most of my days at home with Eric. He's 12 now. He's smart, too smart for his age. He always asks questions. He wants to know how everything works and why things happen. I used to call him my little scientist. He followed me everywhere. He copied everything I did, how I stirred my coffee, how I folded the laundry, even how I hummed to myself when I was thinking. Being his mom is the one thing in my life I've never doubted. I didn't have a big career or fancy college degrees like Tyler, but I had Eric, and he made my life feel full and happy. I met Tyler when I was 26. He was tall, smart, and very charming. When he looked at you, he made you feel like you were the most important person in the world. He already had a good job in finance and was making good money. He had a strong, confident way of speaking, but he wasn't full of himself, at least not back then. We got married within a year. At first, he really was wonderful. Everyone told me I was lucky to have him. He brought me flowers just because, left little notes around the house, and made music playlists for our road trips. When Eric was born, Tyler cried even more than I did. I remember thinking, this is the man I'll grow old with. We're going to have a beautiful life together. But people can change over time. In the last couple of years, something in Tyler started to shift. At first, it was small things. He stopped watching movies with us. He didn't laugh at Eric's silly jokes anymore. He stopped kissing me goodbye in the mornings. I told myself he was just stressed from work. His job had long hours and difficult clients. I thought maybe he just needed space. Then it got worse. He started locking his phone. He whispered on calls behind closed doors. He would leave the house without saying where he was going or when he'd be back. When I asked questions, he got angry. He said I was being paranoid and trying to control him. So I stopped asking. I stayed quiet for Eric's sake. I tried to keep things looking normal. I smiled during dinner. I made small talk. I tried to pretend everything was fine, even though I knew it wasn't. Then, just last week, something odd happened. Tyler came home earlier than he had in months. He actually looked calm for once. He kissed Eric on the head, looked me in the eyes, and said, "I'm cooking dinner tonight." I blinked. "Since when do you cook?" He shrugged and said, "Just wanted to do something nice. You've been working so hard lately." It was such a small thing, but it felt big. It also felt a little strange. Still, I wanted to believe him. I wanted to believe that maybe, just maybe, he was trying to come back to us, to be the man he used to be. So I smiled and said it sounded wonderful. That night, everything changed. I set the table using our nice plates. Eric picked out some music to play while we ate. Tyler was in the kitchen, humming quietly as he stirred the mashed potatoes. For a moment, it felt almost normal again. Almost. But deep down, I felt something wasn't right. It was a quiet feeling, like a small voice inside me warning me. I didn't know how important that feeling would be. Not until it was nearly too late. I remember watching Tyler that night. He stood at the stove, stirring the mashed potatoes like it was something he did all the time. But he didn't. Tyler had never cooked a full dinner in all 13 years of our marriage. Not once. So yes, I was surprised. But I told myself it was a good surprise. Maybe this meant a fresh start. Maybe he really was trying. I wanted so badly to believe that. Dinner was ready around 6. Eric helped set the table and put out our mismatched cloth napkins. He thought they looked fancy. He was excited. His dad was doing something for us. Something simple, something normal. That meant a lot to him. The food looked okay. The steak was a little overcooked. The green beans had too much garlic. But it was the mashed potatoes that seemed strange. They looked too smooth, almost shiny. I can't explain it well, but they just didn't look right. I took a bite. The texture was odd, way too creamy, almost like glue. The taste wasn't terrible, but there was a bitter flavor under the butter. I put my fork down and grabbed my water, trying to wash it down. Eric had taken a few bites too. I watched him closely. He made a face but kept eating. Tyler sat there, saying almost nothing. He just watched us smiling. I said, "These potatoes taste a little funny." Tyler laughed. He said something like, "Guess I'm not as good a cook as I thought." Then he stood up and started clearing his plate, even though he hadn't finished eating. That's when it hit me. The dizziness started in waves. Not the kind you get when you stand up too fast, but the kind that makes the whole room spin. My fingers felt numb. My mouth was dry and thick, like I couldn't swallow. I blinked, trying to stay focused. Across the table, Eric had gone quiet. He was rubbing his stomach, eyes wide with fear. His little fork dropped onto his plate. Then he looked at me and whispered, "Mom, my tummy hurts." That moment is burned into my memory. He looked so confused, like he knew something was wrong but didn't understand what. That's when my instincts took over. I tried to reach for Eric, but my arm wouldn't move the way it should. My muscles weren't working. My vision started to blur around the edges. It was hard to keep my eyes open. And Tyler, he didn't run over to help. He didn't look scared or worried. He just stood at the sink, slowly scrubbing his hands, like he was washing something away. That's when I knew something was really wrong. My heart was beating fast, even though my body was weak and shutting down. I tried to speak, to call for help, but no words came out. I couldn't move much, but my mind was still clear. One thought repeated over and over in my head: protect Eric. I looked at my son. He was slumping in his chair, clearly feeling what I was feeling. I did the only thing I could think of. I gently reached for him and helped him to the floor next to me as I slowly collapsed. I pretended to pass out. I placed his small hand under mine and gave the tiniest squeeze I could, just enough for him to know I was still there. We both lay there, completely still and quiet. Then Tyler came back into the room. I heard him say it. "It's done. They'll both be gone soon." Those words froze me. He didn't sound upset. There was no fear or sadness in his voice. He was calm, like he had just finished a job, like we were nothing more than tasks to check off a list. I wanted to scream, to get up, to fight back. But I stayed still. I had to. Then I heard him leave the room. When his footsteps were far enough away, I leaned close to Eric and whispered, "Don't move yet." I don't know how long we stayed like that. It might have been 20 seconds, maybe 2 minutes. Time feels strange when you're scared and unable to move. All I could hear was my heartbeat and Eric's quiet breathing. Then we heard Tyler's footsteps going down the hallway. Slow, steady. He stopped near the front door. Then, click, the door closed. He was gone. I opened my eyes just a little. I was scared of what I might see, but the kitchen was empty. I gently touched Eric's back. He stiffened, but didn't move. He was awake. He had heard everything, too. "Bathroom," I whispered.
"Go. Spit."
"Try to throw up." He looked at me, afraid, but he understood. Eric is only 12, but he's smart. He started crawling toward the hallway, his arms shaking. I followed behind him, dragging my heavy legs like they were full of sand. We reached the guest bathroom. I turned on the faucet and let the water run loud, just in case Tyler came back. I leaned over the sink and forced myself to throw up. I pushed my fingers down my throat, trying to get rid of whatever Tyler had given us. Eric did the same, crying as he coughed and gagged. But he got it out too. It started to help. My head was still cloudy, but I could think again. I could move a little. My breathing was tight, but I could feel it coming back. I sat down on the cold bathroom floor, leaning against the cabinet. I held Eric's hand. "Mom," he whispered. "Why would he do that?" I didn't know what to say. I had no answer. Not yet. We just had to get out of there. I grabbed my phone and tried to call 911. But the phone was dead, not out of battery, just completely dead. No screen, no sound. It had worked earlier that morning. I checked the wall phone in the kitchen. It didn't work either. That's when I knew. Tyler had planned everything. "No time," I told Eric. "We go now." I grabbed the emergency flashlight from under the sink, wrapped Eric in my hoodie, and led him through the laundry room to the garage. We had to be quiet. I didn't know if Tyler had really left or if he was outside watching us. I opened the garage door by hand. It made a loud creaking sound that made my heart pound. I peeked outside. No car in the driveway. No people on the street. Just quiet evening air. "Go," I whispered. Eric ran barefoot across the grass to our neighbor's house, Miss Nicole. She had lived there for 21 years. She was in her 80s, strong and always home. I stumbled after him, my legs still weak, my vision blurry. By the time I got to her door, Eric was already banging on it. She opened it fast, surprised, but one look at us, and she knew something was very wrong. "What happened?" she gasped. "No time," I said. "Call 911. He poisoned us. My husband, he tried to kill us." Her face changed from shock to action. She pulled us inside, locked the door, and grabbed her phone. Within 7 minutes, we heard sirens. For the first time in what felt like forever, I let myself breathe. We were alive. But it wasn't over yet. The red and blue lights from the ambulance flashed across the walls. Paramedics rushed in and helped us out of her house. Eric was shaking under the emergency blanket they gave him, still holding my hand tightly like he was afraid to let go. My body was still weak. My vision went sharp, then blurry, then sharp again. But I was awake. I was alive. And Eric was too. That's all that mattered in that moment. At the hospital, they started tests right away, blood work, toxicology, checking our vitals. The nurses moved fast. I knew that pace well. I used to move like that when I was a nurse. Back when I was the one wearing scrubs, I knew how fast doctors moved in emergencies. This time, I was the patient. The doctor came in with the test results within the hour. It was a sedative, he said. Crushed and mixed into the food. Probably benzodiazepine. A very high dose. You were lucky you threw it up when you did. Lucky. That's what everyone kept saying. But it didn't feel like luck. What Tyler did was planned. And what I did, the whisper to Eric, the trip to the bathroom, our escape, that wasn't luck. That was instinct. That was survival. When the police officer arrived to take my statement, I told him everything. Every detail. Step by step, word by word. Then I asked, did they find him? The officer's jaw tightened. He's not at the house. The car's gone. We've issued a statewide alert. My stomach sank, not from the poison this time, but from fear. What if he got away? What if we had to spend the rest of our lives looking over our shoulders? But less than 3 days later, they caught him. He was at the airport, trying to board a flight to Italy using a fake passport and a second phone. He hadn't just poisoned us and run. He had planned all of this. For weeks, maybe longer. It wasn't until my sister, Emma, arrived that I finally saw the full picture. We were sitting in my hospital room. Eric was asleep in the bed next to me. Emma leaned in, her face full of both sadness and shock. I didn't want to tell you, she whispered. But Laura, Tyler's been cheating. I've known for 3 months. I just stared at her, speechless. She continued, I saw him with a woman young, maybe 26. They were at a restaurant in Carbon Beach Club. He kissed her. I followed them. They went back to a condo. I didn't know what to do. I didn't want to hurt you. I thought maybe he was just going through something. A crisis, she had thought. But this wasn't just an affair. This was a plan. A way out. And then it got even worse. That woman Tyler was with? She came from a rich family. Her father had passed away recently. The woman Tyler was with was about to receive a large amount of money, but only if she married someone who had no children and no debt. Tyler was trying to become that person. He wanted a new life, no wife, no son, no past. That's why he did it. The poisoning. The fake documents. The plan to escape through the airport. It all made sense now. He wasn't just trying to leave us. He was trying to erase us. Tyler was charged with attempted murder, child endangerment, and using a dangerous drug to cause harm. At first, he said he was not guilty. But there was too much proof. In the end, he had no choice. He was found guilty and is now serving life in prison. He will never be let out. And me? I'm still picking up the pieces. But here's what I've learned. I'd rather live with broken pieces than live in a perfect lie. Now I wake up with a new kind of thankfulness. Not for big things like second chances or justice, but for small things, like hearing Eric laugh from the next room, or the quiet sound of the front door locking at night, or sunlight coming through the kitchen window while I make coffee, knowing we are safe. It's been 4 months since that terrible night. For months since I collapsed on the kitchen floor beside Eric. For months since I heard Tyler whisper that we'd be gone soon. It still feels unreal when I say it out loud. But it happened. And we're still here. Eric and I both made full physical recoveries. The doctors said the drug dose was very high, high enough to make it look like an accident. If we hadn't thrown it up when we did, we probably wouldn't have survived. That thought stays with me like a shadow. Eric doesn't talk about his dad much. Sometimes I see him looking out the window, quiet and deep in thought. Other times, he climbs into my bed at night just to be close to me. I don't force him to talk. I let him move at his own pace. He's healing in his way, and so am I. Right now, we're staying with my sister, Maria. She's been our rock through all of this. She felt guilty for not telling me earlier about Tyler's affair, but I never blamed her. Here's the truth. We all ignore signs we don't want to believe. I didn't want to believe Tyler could hurt us. I didn't want to believe that the man I married could become someone so dangerous. I married the father of my child, not knowing he was planning to erase us, like we were just a problem to solve. To him, it was like a business deal, cold and heartless. His reason? Money. Image. A future where Eric and I didn't exist. In the end, Tyler pled guilty. The proof was too strong to fight. The poison, the fake ID, the plane ticket, and the money transfers. Now, he's in prison for life, with no chance of getting out. I can't say I've found peace yet, but I've found something more important. Clarity. People often ask what I've learned from this, what I would say to other women, or to anyone in a situation like mine. So here it is. Listen to your instincts, even when the voice inside is small, even when you don't have clear proof. We're taught to be polite, to not cause trouble, to give people the benefit of the doubt. But sometimes, doubt is the benefit. When your body tells you something is off, believe it. When your gut tightens for no reason, pay attention. When the air in the room suddenly feels heavy, or when silence feels strange, that's your warning. I ignored those signs for too long. I let the fear of conflict be louder than the fear of danger. Never again. The night Tyler tried to poison us, what saved me wasn't strength or training. It was stillness. It was staying quiet. It was listening to my instincts and waiting for the right moment. That small, quiet decision saved my life, and my son's life too. Now, every day is a chance to protect Eric. Not just from harm, but from silence, from doubt, from thinking that love means ignoring your own voice. Because real love, the kind that lasts, never puts you in danger. It never makes you feel small. And it never, ever comes with poison. If you've read or listened this far, thank you. Telling this story wasn't easy. But I hope it helps someone who's ignoring their instincts, someone who's scared to face the truth, someone who just needs to hear this. You're not crazy. You are not alone. Your voice matters. If this story spoke to you, please leave a comment, share your thoughts, your story, or even just a kind word. It helps more than you know. And if you know someone who might need to hear this, please share it with them. You never know, it might save a life. Like the video if it meant something to you. And don't forget to subscribe for more real stories, honest truths, and reminders that surviving is strength. Until next time, stay safe, stay aware, and never stop trusting your instincts.